Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. It's 5:56, 60 degrees out there on this Monday morning, and you're watching Channel 6 News today. Well, listen to this. Doctors say that if we use the right side of our brain for just 15 minutes a day, it can actually help lower our blood pressure and give us a better attitude, plus improve our overall general health. Well, there's no better way to trigger the right side of the brain than by drawing. And no one believes that more than our instructor for the day, our art instructor, Paulette Purser. Good morning to you.
Hi, Julie.
How are you?
Fine.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Now, you know, this weekend they told me, or Friday they told me that everybody can learn how to draw, and I said, yeah, I don't know about that. So is it really true?
It's definitely true. I've taught for many, many years and drawn for 96 years, I tell the children. And I've seen it happen too often. It's just no doubt in my mind. Anyone can do it.
Explain the left brain, right brain concept so that our viewers understand that and how it kind of affects what doctors are saying.
All of us are born with a brain, hopefully, and with two sides. There's a left and a right side. And most of us, in fact, 98% of right-handers have our verbal processing on the left side of the brain. It doesn't really matter where it is, but it matters how you use your brain, which is what the classes do. The visual side is on the right side of the brain for most people. The left side of the brain takes over dominance at about the age of 10, when the brain begins to lateralize or split in function. Up until that age, memory and learning is transmitted back and forth from the left to the right. And once you reach about 10 years old, most of the lateralization is complete, with the left doing one thing and the right doing the other. The right does the visual, the left does the verbal, and they begin to fight with each other. The left is usually the dominant side, the winner, because it does things fast. The thing I want people to learn most in the class is you have to go slow if you're going to see reality. And that's what I teach them, is to see reality. You have to really suppress the left verbal side, the side that would say that I can't draw, I can't do this, I can't do anything. In fact, any skill you can apply that to. But especially in drawing, for some reason, most people think they can't do it. So we change their mind.
So left is kind of the analytical side, the right is the imagination, fantasy, the creative side.
And you're not really given a lot of credit for staring out the window in class. I tell the children it's not really what your teacher wants, but it is something the right brain does to survive. It needs to just get away from all this constant information processing that we're supposed to memorize and so forth in most schools.
So as we move over and start to show some of the pictures, both sides of the brain basically have the ability, in a normal case, have the ability to develop equally. It's how we stimulate both sides of the brain as youngsters and as we develop.
Right, and our left brains are stimulated a lot more from birth on. The right brain goes pretty much untrained, but it survives despite left brain dominance. And we need to bring those basic skills back in, which are, some people would say that make learning fun for children, and what I would say is make it fun, yes, but understand there will be a lot of pain at the age of 10 when you have to show the child how to access the right. They have a lot of pain. They see reality better than most adults do, and if the teacher cannot draw or is uncomfortable with her drawing skills or his drawing skills, the student picks up on it real quick, and the student begins to blame himself and says, I don't have any talent, I'm not going to ever do this again. And so I get students at the age of 50 and 80 and 20, too, sometimes, to come in and change that.
Okay, let's take a look at some of these pictures. Now, these are some photos, drawings that you have done.
Right, and I've brought them in just to illustrate what 96 years can do. It can really embellish your skill. Everyone's got the skill. Over here on the left, or what we showed earlier, were a pre-instruction drawing by a 10-year-old, and less than 8 days later, this is done from a live model in less than an hour.
Now, is this the same person?
This is the same person, the same artist, but this is done from a live model, different model.
Okay.
Right. The symbols are, first of all, the drawing is much larger. The proportions are correct. They know now how to look. And that's what the classes do. In fact, we tell you how to, we give you 4 skills, which are all you need to look at anything critically so that you can see reality. Those 4 skills are, number 1, the study of line. Number 2, negative space, the use of negative space. Number 3, sighting. And number 4, light logic. Those, go ahead.
We're going to have a drawing lesson in just a little bit, but just quickly, let me ask you a question. Does this depend on, is your perception of what you see key in what you actually draw? Or do you try and take that out?
You take out what you see. Your mind alters it or edits what you really see, especially after the age of 10. Your mind is already made up before you even look at something for more than a second. For instance, what is this? What would you say this is? And you look at me right away for approval.
Right.
But if your left brain, if your right brain could speak, could talk, what would you say this is?
A watch. The essence of time.
The essence of time is all analytical, whatever the watch is, or whatever, how we could describe the watch.
Oh, it's a round thing.
Round thing. It is round. You think it's a round thing. You think it's a round. You know it's round. But if you really had to analyze it from your perspective, it's more of an oval, and not just a oval, an oval. It has to be sided exactly correct.
All right, we have to go now. We have to take a break, but we're going to come back with Paulette in just a little bit. I'm going to show you the drawing that I did this weekend. She's going to give us a little bit of a lesson, and we're also going to tell you where you can get lessons if you want to try and work on both sides of the brain. Still to come, national news making headlines is up next, plus our work week forecast from Steve Bellis, who is live at Gambino's on Veterans. Go buy and have a piece of king cake with him, and we'll be back in about 2 minutes. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. It is 6:30, 59 degrees out there on this Monday morning, and you're watching Channel 6 News Today. Well, earlier in the show, in case you missed it, we were talking about the use of the left brain versus the right brain. The left brain is more for the analytical side. The right brain is more for the creative side, the fantasies, the imagination. And Paulette Purser, who is an artist, tells us, and an art instructor, that you can learn to use the right side of your brain as well as the left. And you just have to develop the muscle of the brain, correct?
That's right. Massage it. Often.
Speaking of. Okay, there's the analytical part of me. The beeper was telling me it's time to check on something. Anyway, explain to us, in terms of the right brain, how can you learn to draw and what do you do? Now, as you're explaining how to better develop the right brain, I'm going to try and see if I can draw Reggie. So everybody, Reggie Henry, who is our floor director, good morning to you. Reggie is going to be my subject. So I'm going to try and draw, and Paulette, you kind of explain how to develop the right brain. Okay, so you're going to help me start?
I'm going to have to start by telling her that she's got to shut off the left side of her brain, which, do you think that's going to be a little bit difficult for Julie?
Probably.
Okay,
I don't know.
You have to suppress. You cannot talk even to yourself while you're drawing someone. You have to suppress all that so that you can focus on just anything you don't know about Reggie. For instance, the skill number 2, we're going to jump right into skill number 2, is negative space. You draw what isn't his eye, and you end up drawing the eye. The white space around the pupil is a negative space. If you look at that negative space and using the first skill, which is contour line, which you have already mastered, you can draw the line surrounding the white space of the left side of his eye.
Okay, so now basically, as I look at Reggie, do I want to draw or do I want to look at what I'm drawing?
You don't want to know what you're drawing. You do want to look intensely at it, so you focus on things that you don't know. Usually I start with the right eye, or I would start with his left eye in this part of the picture right here. Okay. And to do an eye, which is what I'm going to start you on, draw the shape of the white one side of his eye. Okay. You see the shape? If he's looking at one thing. In fact, it might help if you looked up a little bit, Reggie, there. Now you see the white space of the right side?
Yeah, but I don't get it.
Left eye?
Yeah.
If you don't get it, that's a good sign. It means your right brain's on. The left brain wants to know everything and have control and go really fast. So this is a very slow process. Very painful, isn't it, Julie?
Yeah, it is very painful. Okay, Reg.
So go ahead and draw and I'll draw with you. How's that?
Oh, you're going to draw it?
Yes, and she's going to use a Schwagman's pencil. Schwagman's pencils are great. So all you need is a pencil with an eraser to do all those drawings.
Reggie, all right. So do I draw his head
and don't go around and look at him like this. Look at him. See, the left brain wants to look at him right there.
Okay.
But the right brain...
All right, so now do I draw the eye first, or do I draw
the eye? The left brain wants to draw the eye. So you have to draw something you don't know about the eye, which is the white space on one side of his eye. Okay. So just draw it like so.
You put yours way up there. How can you put yours way up there?
I don't want the camera to see it.
Oh, okay.
All right. Good. That's it. She's drawing the white space. Okay. Now, is this white space as long as the width of the white space, as long as the width of the pupil?
Approximately, yes.
Skill number 3. Okay. You don't know. She was guessing. Her left brain was guessing. To really know, you have to take out the pencil and actually measure. But yeah, it takes a few lessons to do that. You measure the width of one versus the other with your arm all the way stretched out.
Okay.
Of course, you'll hit him in his glasses. You have to stay up any further back.
All right, you guys got a chance to see Reggie. You know what Reggie looks like. I'm going to try and work on this over the next couple of weeks. Meanwhile, Paulette is going to give us some lessons. She's going to come back and give us like a 2-hour demonstration. We're all going to learn how to do this. It's kind of complicated,
No
actually.
problem. The left would say that.
But quickly, just tell our viewers, how does this really help you in terms of physical health?
I've heard several comments from doctors and from hypnotists who say that these processes have induced an altered state that they couldn't do through hypnotism.
If you want to know more, unfortunately, we have to hit a break. If you want to know more, you can give Paulette a call quickly. Put the number up on the screen, guys, and I'll say it. Learn to draw, 365-3094, 365-3094. You can call Paulette Purser. She has classes available, and she can tell you how to create and use and develop the right part of your brain. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're going to have you back as soon as we learn how to draw. And when we come back, news making local headlines this morning, plus the working forecast and the traffic feature for this Monday morning. It's all coming up here on Channel 6 News Today. Don't go away. 6:34, 59 degrees.
If you want to lower your blood pressure or improve your attitude, one expert says, then pick up a pencil and draw. Artist Paulette Purser has worked with kids at Visitation of Our Lady School for 13 weeks now, helping them exercise the right sides of their brain. Before and after portraits tell the story. Purser says drawing for just 15 minutes a day can relax, refresh, and improve your overall health.
You're watching WWL-TV's News Watch, a joint service with Cox Cable on Channel 15. This is WWL-TV's Morning News rebroadcast.
Right now at 7:21, they say even people of modest artistic talent can improve their skills for drawing by learning to use the right side of the brain. In her classes at the University of New Orleans, Paulette Purser teaches students the art of seeing first. And this morning, Paulette is here with more on this. Paulette Purser, thank you very much for coming in this morning. So you say that we all have some talent for drawing.
In fact, I prefer not to even say talent, because unless you show talent, you might not even take the class. You might consider not taking it.
Well, let's show them, first of all, just what you were able to do with your technique. Let's look at the results. Here is a before picture. Right here, I'm pointing to one. This was drawn by Linda, and she drew this picture, and then how many months later did she shoot?
About 2 months later.
2 months later, after your classes, she was able to draw like this. That is really startling.
It is very dramatic. Yes.
And let's go, what's the best one? Okay, let's go over here. Here's a person who was drawing like this, and then after 2 months, look at the after picture.
Actually, only 8 lessons.
8 lessons?
8 lessons.
Okay, and you have other examples here.
Usually the left brain has ready symbols for everything that it thinks it sees. A quick chair, a quick line drawing of a chair might represent a chair, rather than looking more carefully at the chair and drawing it as you see it.
Okay, so you say we have to shut down the left side of the brain.
The left side is the verbal side. It's the side that talks, and the right side is the side that sees. And before the age of 10, the left and the right side of the brain works together very well. And after the age of 10, the brain becomes lateralized or split in function with the left in control, because it's been trained to identify and label things.
But how can you do that? I mean, how can you say, well, I'm going to think with the right side of my brain today?
Well, we give the left brain or the whole brain a task that the left either refuses or cannot do. And the skills that are taught in my classes, the perceptual skills, do just that.
And you say something about negative space. You draw
negative space.
Now, how do you do that?
In fact, the negative space is something that's unidentifiable. If the left brain cannot identify a negative space or a shape, and the right brain has to draw it, it can draw it a lot easier because the left is shut off. It's not in the talking mode.
So if I wanted to draw a picture of a hand, I might look at the space around my hand and draw that, as opposed to drawing the
much
hand.
easier. You get the hand or the positive space for free, actually. In fact, in one of my classes, or in all of my classes in the beginning, I ask everyone to identify, after we have an explanation of what is the difference in the left and the right, I ask the class to identify this, or ask them, what is this? And Sally, what would you say this is?
A watch.
And you look at me immediately for approval. You label it, it's a watch.
Yeah.
And so I calmly don't say anything, and I keep holding it up. and everyone asks, everyone looks at me and looks at the watch, and everyone's struggling and not really knowing which would be the left thing to, what to say.
Yeah.
And so I asked them, well, what would you say if what would the right brain say if it could talk? And so they all look at it a little bit more, and what would you say, in fact, Sally?
Well, a circle.
Circle,
I would
right.
start identifying the shape, I guess.
The shape,
of
very
it.
good, very
Okay.
good. Or maybe the hands. Someone would say, well, those are hands. I say, no.
Those are lines.
Lines, very good.
Okay. Oh, well, I guess I'm going to pass this course.
Oh, yes. And the color here is?
I'd say it's gold tone.
The left brain would say gold.
Okay.
The right brain would say?
Say kind of yellowish.
Some yellow.
And with a sparkle of light.
Very good. And the shapes of the sparkles. Another thing that we do.
That look like lines.
Well, they are lines, some of them, but in fact, the better you get with this, the closer you want to get, the more magnifying glasses you want so that you can see more clearly.
Let me see the charts you have. You're going to
I'm going to
give
trick
me a little
Sally a little bit.
Okay, let's see.
And let's see how Sally's left brain struggles a little bit. I'm going to ask you to identify or tell me what colors these are rather quickly.
Okay. Red, orange, yellow, pink, blue. Yeah, I can see orange, and I'm reading that, and then black.
It's a struggle.
I'm reading.
Whereas this is less of a struggle.
That's orange, blue, I mean black. Black.
But if you had to, usually the first response is, or the first inclination is to read it, because we've been taught to do this.
As opposed to just look at the
As
colors.
to say what color it is,
Yeah,
period.
yeah.
Another thing we do in the first lesson, in the first day, is we become aware that if the left brain can identify something or somebody, in fact, the right brain is specialized in recognizing people. So I flash this up at everybody.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you to identify as quickly as you can who it is.
Okay. President Reagan, former President Reagan.
It should have been upside down.
Oh, okay.
At first we do this.
Uh-huh.
It should have been upside down. And your left brain would have been confused and struggled through identifying it because it yearns for brain closure, which is identifying who it is.
So, to make a long story short here, you're saying that we can learn to develop this side, and the results that you have shown after 8 lessons would indicate that people can learn to draw using this technique.
In fact, it's so easy to learn. In fact, everyone knows how. We just don't think we do.
Now, how young are the children that you work with?
Generally, I like to accept them no sooner than the 5th grade, because that is brain lateralization stage, where the left becomes in charge and does most of the tasks. At this stage, they're very open, and they yearn for realism, and they will have nothing else. And at this stage also, teachers are very frustrated with their craving for realism, and if the child does not get backup from the teacher, if the teacher cannot draw, the child will give it up forever and maybe not take it up until maybe 30 or 40 years later.
So you say this is not to turn out, star-class artists, but it is to build self-confidence, self-esteem.
Most definitely, yes.
And that's
really
for
does.
all ages could be great, to be
and
able
focus.
to say, I drew that.
And in fact, a lot of the students say they're less judgmental afterwards. They look at people and things in a different way.
Yeah.
In fact, they do.
Well, even after this brief discussion with you, I'm thinking it a little bit differently now.
Terrific.
Thank you very much for coming in,
me.
Ms. Purser. And I guess people can get in touch with you through the University of New Orleans, where you have seminars on a regular basis there.
Drawing on the right side of the brain.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Purser, Paulette Purser. Right now at 7:28, we'll be back with lots more in the last half hour, including a performer in town for the International Piano Competition.
WWL-TV's News Watch, a joint service with Cox Cable on Channel 15. This is WWL-TV's Morning News rebroadcast.